Welcome to Dark Side of History channel, where the untold stories of the past come to life. So don't forget to subscribe and uncover the mysteries with us.
Horse-drawn school bus transportation. Children boarded the earliest example of organized school transport in West Lynn, Oregon in 1904, using horse-drawn wagons to get to school safely. This simple transportation system helped rural children attend school regularly even when they lived far from the schoolhouse. The horse-drawn school bus became the foundation for modern school transportation systems that millions of children use today. Mailing babies through postal service. For a brief period in 1913, the United States Postal Service actually delivered small children as parcels when parents wanted to send them to relatives. This bizarre practice happened because parcel post was cheaper than train tickets, and postal regulations didn't specifically prohibit mailing humans. The dangerous practice was quickly banned when officials realized the safety risks and legal problems it created. Glass roof convertible car concepts. Car designers in 1940s Los Angeles created experimental vehicles with glass roofs inspired by warplane blisters that allowed pilots to see in all directions. These futuristic convertibles were meant to give drivers and passengers a complete view of the sky while driving through sunny California. The glass roof concept was impractical due to heat and safety issues, but influenced later sunroof designs. Zebra cart transport in India. Creative transportation operators used zebras to pull carts through Calcutta's busy streets during the 1930s as an exotic alternative to horses and oxen. These unusual animals attracted attention from tourists and locals, but were difficult to control in crowded urban environments. The zebra carts represented the colonial era's fascination with using exotic animals for practical purposes. Car rest bed installation for road trips. In 1954, inventors created aluminum cots that extended above car seats to provide sleeping comfort during long road trips across America. This early attempt at mobile living was designed for families who wanted to camp in their cars rather than pay for hotels. The bed installation showed how Americans adapted their vehicles for the growing popularity of cross-country automobile travel. Mining and industrial operations. London River trade barges. Barges moored at Hayes Wharf supplied London with essential food, coal, and goods in 1938, showing how rivers served as highways for commercial transportation. These working boats carried everything from fresh produce to industrial materials that kept the city functioning during the pre-war period. The river trade system represented centuries of maritime commerce that connected London to markets around the world. Sarapalata gold mine human excavation. Thousands of men hand-excavated a huge open-pit gold mine in Pará, Brazil, during the 1980s, creating one of the most chaotic mining operations in modern history. These desperate workers climbed dangerous ladders and dug with simple tools, hoping to find gold nuggets that would change their lives. The mine became a symbol of the extreme poverty and dangerous working conditions that drove people to risk their lives for precious metals. Medical and punishment practices. Dr. Hines' experimental vitality treatment. Dr. Hines conducted experimental treatments using animal fluids, ultraviolet light, and special exercises in Berlin during 1925 to supposedly restore youth and energy. These bizarre medical procedures claimed to cure aging and disease but had no scientific basis and often harmed patients. The treatments represented the dangerous pseudoscience that existed before modern medical regulations protected patients from quack doctors. Chinese Kang public punishment device. People in China were photographed wearing the Kang, an old wooden instrument of public punishment that immobilized the head and hands for weeks. This heavy wooden collar prevented criminals from feeding themselves and forced them to depend on family members or strangers for survival. The punishment was designed to shame offenders publicly while causing physical discomfort and social humiliation. Lipstick durability laboratory testing. Laboratory technicians were hired to watch couples kissing in order to test how long different lipstick formulas would last during romantic encounters. This unusual job required careful observation and detailed record-keeping to determine which cosmetic products provided the best value for consumers. The testing method shows how companies tried to scientifically measure the effectiveness of beauty products in real-world situations. Victorian Morphine Medical Kit. Injection kits containing morphine were widely used in medicine and domestic settings during the late 1800s when people didn't understand addiction risks. These kits were sold over the counter and used to treat everything from headaches to childbirth pain without proper medical supervision. The widespread availability of morphine led to massive addiction problems before governments began regulating dangerous drugs. Military and war history. Mounted Rifle Soldier Balancing Act. A soldier demonstrated the skill of balancing on a horse's back while aiming a rifle during the late 1930s when armies were transitioning from cavalry to mechanized warfare. This impressive display of horsemanship and marksmanship represented the end of an era when mounted soldiers were still important in military operations. The technique required years of training and represented the peak of traditional cavalry skills. World War I gas-masked dog for rescue missions. Red Cross dogs wore protective gas masks during World War I rescue missions in 1917 to save wounded soldiers from poison gas attacks. These brave animals were trained to locate injured men in no man's land and lead rescue teams to their locations safely. The gas masks for dogs showed how chemical warfare created new dangers that affected both humans and animals serving in the war. British Horse Artillery pack animals. Members of British Horse Artillery units used pack horses for disciplined military service in 1915 during World War I operations. These specially trained horses carried artillery pieces, ammunition, and supplies to remote battlefields where vehicles couldn't travel safely. The horse artillery represented the last major use of animals in warfare before mechanization replaced them completely. Women's firearms training in prison facility. Women received firearms training inside a prison facility on Roosevelt Island, New York City, during the 1940s to prepare for possible home defense during World War II. This unusual training location provided secure space for civilian women to learn shooting skills when men were away fighting overseas. The program showed how World War II changed traditional gender roles and prepared women to take on new responsibilities. Paula Hitler detention by U.S. forces. Adolf Hitler's younger sister Paula was detained and processed by U.S. forces in 1945 as part of denazification efforts after Germany's surrender. Her interrogation helped Allied investigators understand Hitler's family background and personal life during his rise to power. The detention showed how thoroughly Allied forces investigated Nazi connections, even among family members who weren't directly involved in war crimes. Archaeological discoveries. Maya Monument Stela D carved reliefs. Maya Monument Stela D features carved reliefs depicting ruler Coctilio Chan Yopat in 8th century Quirigua, Guatemala. Showing sophisticated artistic and political traditions, these massive stone monuments recorded important historical events and royal genealogies for Maya civilization during its classical period. The detailed carvings help modern archaeologists understand Maya politics, religion, and artistic achievement. Howard Carter examined Tutankhamun's mummy after discovering the intact tomb in 1922, making one of archaeology's greatest discoveries. His careful documentation and photography provided unprecedented scientific evidence about ancient Egyptian burial practices and royal life. The discovery captured worldwide attention and sparked new interest in Egyptian archaeology and ancient history. Egypt daily life documentation. Photographs recorded social change and modernization in Egypt during the 1870s as the country adapted to European influence and new technology. These historical images show how traditional Egyptian society began adopting Western customs, clothing, and business practices during the colonial period. The documentation provides valuable evidence of cultural transformation during a crucial period in Middle Eastern history. Maya Monument Zoomorph B Religious Art. Maya Monument Zoomorph B was created in 780 CE, representing Mayan artistic and religious tradition in Guatemala during the height of classical Maya civilization. This complex sculptural work combines religious symbolism with political propaganda to legitimate royal power and connect rulers to divine authority. The monument demonstrates the sophisticated integration of art, religion, and politics in ancient Maya society. British tourists visit Great Sphinx. A group of British tourists posed in front of the Great Sphinx in Egypt during an Egypt tour in 1910 when tourism to ancient sites was becoming popular among wealthy Europeans. These early tourists traveled by steamship and railway to see archaeological wonders that had fascinated the Western world for centuries. The photo represents the beginning of mass tourism to ancient sites that continues today. Berlin Wall and Cold War. Hitler's Reich Chancellery Administrative Center.